What's up, guys? It's Tim from Coastal Life Media, and welcome back to Six Flags Adventureland. This is my ship in a bottle park that begs the question, what would a park built by the Six Flags Corporation look like round about the year 2015? Before we get started with what you see on the screen, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more content. It really does help. So check this out. I am sitting here. Actually, the creation of this coaster started without me even loading up the game. I was literally sitting and I was thinking about rides that are unique to other parks that Six Flags Great America does not have, and that will be a ride that I would like to add as the final coaster. Well, hopefully the final coaster. And I was actually thinking about Mr. Freeze, the reverse blast coaster. I was thinking about the one in St. Louis. I know there's another one, and I believe Over Texas or Fiesta, Texas, but I was thinking about that one more specifically. And I was thinking, what if we built something kind of like that in this park, which would kind of act as another coaster that is not necessarily close, even though St. Louis is not far from where we live. It's about 4 hours. It's faster to get to St. Louis than it is to Cedar Point from where I live at. So it's not that bad. But I wanted to kind of add something that Great America doesn't have, and that's where I got this the idea to add this coaster. So let me just let you guys check it out. I kind of had to figure some things out of how it would work, since we don't have that exact ride model in this game. Let me just exit out so you can take a look at it a little bit better. So yeah, I wanted to try to figure out how to make it work. So the best way for me to do it would have been to put the reverse launch in front of it, let it go up and shoot backwards up into the hill, around up the spike and down, and then it would literally just stop right here at the station. Now, I wanted this to be I originally wanted this to be an actual reverse blast coaster where I would theme it to like Batman and the Mr. Freeze and whatever, even though that movie is no longer relevant. It was when they first built it, but it now is not. So the reason why I did not make that is for two reasons. For one, I'm almost landlocked in this area. Well, in almost all of the park, I'm pretty landlocked as to where I could put of this sized coaster. I thought about sticking it here somehow, like with an angle, and then trying to be creative with the queue. I tried to put it over there. None of those suggestions worked, and I wanted it to be a ride out. I did not want it to be in the Crimson Valley area, because originally I did not want to theme it to anything of that vibe. But I had to bite the bullet and add it to this area to kind of let this be the last coaster at least. And I wanted a place where I could hide this part of track that technically is not supposed to be a part of the coaster. So maybe like enclose this area and, see what would happen. I haven't thought of a name yet, but what you guys are going to see is me work on the coaster area today. And hopefully you guys could help me out with a name. And if not, maybe something will come to me. It's actually still colored. The train itself is still colored to when I was trying to do the reverse blast. But anyway, you guys could come to me and give me a name for this, or maybe the theming of the ride will give me some type of idea. So, with all of that being said, and the autosave kicks in, I'm going to get started and try to see what I can do. So I kind of did a rough layout of the queue system for this ride. I honestly wanted it to have a little bit of ride interaction, but I also wanted it to be functional in that it would be able to accommodate a larger amount of guests at one point. Because this ride doesn't really have a very good throughput. It's one train. There is no loading and all. I'm not able to do that with this game. I'm not able to do what they do on the actual ride, where you have a system where one train can be loading while the other train is going through the course. That's very unfortunate, but that's kind of the problem with the limitations of Planet Coaster. And I don't want to be the type of YouTuber that goes on a rampage and talks about the game, but at the same time, I feel like there are so many possibilities that could be explored through making a Planet Coaster 2, where you can do certain things like having dual load stations, or you could have one station for dueling track, or maybe moving parts and all of that, like No Limits. There's no reason why Planet Coaster, having the background that Frontier Development had, could not create a more complex yet user-friendly game. I will say that I tried to work with No Limits, and me not having the background or the wherewithal to be able to navigate that, I was kind of frustrated, because I do want to be able to create more complex things within the game, but it's extremely limited, So with that, I needed a queue that would be able to service this ride and stay within the footprint. I was toying around with the idea of having two actual cattle pens, but just not in the more mundane way. So you basically go around and you go through what's going to probably be like a tree right here, and then you'll break off if you have the flash pass, and then you'll go into the first cattle pen and the second cattle pen. But the good thing is that it's not just one slab of what would in reality be concrete, where you just see cattle pen for hours. So I haven't opened the park to see how guests react to this ride. It is all green on the ride stats. I am working on the scenery, and once the scenery is done, the prestige of the ride usually goes up. I'm not necessarily planning on doing a station just yet, because I don't have a name for this ride, so I'm not sure of what the total theming is. I did change the color scheme to red and black. I'm thinking about doing like a Diablo type thing or something like that. I don't know, because I'm not sure what I want to do with this ride. But I did make a ride photo building right here, which is kind of low maintenance, I guess you can say. It's nothing special. It's a very small building. But yeah, I'm thinking about moving the queue entrance to right here, because I kind of don't want you to have to go all the way past the photo building to get into the queue. But the queue system was made before the building was put here, so I'm working on it. But long story short, I'm really trying to find a good way to theme this ride. So once again, I'm going to leave it open for you guys to create or come up with a name for this ride. I'm honestly thinking something along the lines of Diablo, or like I'm thinking something ominous and kind of scary looking, because it's kind of off to the side. So honestly, if you were to go through what many would see as the first entrance of this area, which would technically be right here, if you were going to go there all the way around, this would be the last coaster that you interact with. Because if you think about it logically, more people are gonna come if the park just opened. More people are gonna come up this way than are gonna come all the way back to the back of the park and around to get to this ride or this area. So I'm thinking that this would more than likely be the last coaster that you interact with on a normal day. So I kind of want it to be I want the last coaster to be something kind of ominous, but within the theme of this area. Now, remember, it's not necessarily a Western area. It's called Crimson Valley, which it does have some Western elements, but it's mainly just I'm thinking something that is more built in like the Rocky Mountains or like something like that. And I kind of want to run with that rather than full on Western. So, yeah, help me out, guys, because I'm not sure what specifically I want to do. Also, while I'm talking, I kind of missed the main thing is that I tried my hand at some custom supports, which I never do because it's not necessarily easy. It's kind of annoying. But since I had such a unique ride shape, I kind of wanted to try it for once. I do have to kind of support it from the back, I guess. But I'll work that out later. But yeah, I kind of wanted to try that out. Also, I kind of, rather than just hiding it fully, I decided to have the forward, the launch, the backwards launch, go into like this nice little wooded private area where you wouldn't really see most of everything else around you. And I put some rock work back here. It kind of looks like a somewhere that you would be camping at, I guess. But yeah, that's basically what I put over here to keep it looking nice and give it some type of scenery for the launch. And now that I think about it, I am going to have to like enclose or do something to conceal this back area of the train station since I have a launch literally looking directly at it. You get like this close to it. And, you know, so I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. I'll probably just put some like wooden walls right here. Just kind of blend in or something like that. Or just do the Disney route and put some go away green right there so that you don't necessarily think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit. What I'm actually gonna do as soon as I'm done with this update is I'm gonna open the park to see how guests interact with this ride and how the pathing system, how efficient it actually is. That's something that I do with almost every ride in this park, is that while I'm building, I stop to look at the efficiency of the ride, of the queue system, which is something that I changed for Flamethrower. Originally, I had a vastly different looking system for this, but I also wanted to keep it in line with having this little the ride interaction. So I had to work with it. I originally did the whole thing with the 2 meter pathing, and I decided to go down to 1 meter so that I can have more flexibility and accommodate more people at the same time in the same amount of space. And yeah, so that's similar to what I did here. This is also 1 meter queue, 1 meter queue system. So I'm gonna work with it, and I'm gonna see. I'm gonna just relax and see what goes. What happens. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this. Also, one thing that I was slightly bothered by, but not really, is that you see I feel like you see a lot of this ride in the exit line for Viper, which I'm not necessarily a fan of. Which is why I'm thinking about just covering this up. I mean, I did kind of give the track a little bit of a tree wall, but I think I'm going to have to do a better job of covering that up somehow, because I'm not really a fan of it. I do have to, I guess, enclose the back of this area of the park anyway, because this is the edge. This is the edge of the park. So that's something that I got to do. I kind of started it slightly with back here because I didn't want you to just be able to see straight through the trees into whatever would be back there, if anything, which more than likely not, because I feel like I did there's not a lot of space for backstage. This obviously could be a space, but it's a lot of work, so I'm not sure if I'm going to tackle that. But if I do, I will definitely be leaning more on you guys to give me some ideas as to what would be back there. All right, so like I said before, give me a second to look at what is possible within this area, and what else I could add to this ride area, and I will let you know in the next update. So I've gone ahead and given this ride a temporary kind of theme. It's based on what I could find on the Theme Maker's Toolkit. I will explain why I went with this, and I will give you a kind of a hint of what I came up with. But just to give you guys an obvious look, I said before that I was kind of looking for inspiration as to what to call this ride. So I decided to put up a sign that said, "Beware the wolf." I guess the lore of this ride would be that in the town of Crimson Valley, there is a werewolf that goes around the town looking for anyone who's out after dark, blah blah blah. If you get on this ride, you will encounter the wolf. And to kind of help that along, we have this very small animatronic that you wouldn't really see. Let me move it down a little bit because it is kind of high there. But you wouldn't really see it unless you came straight up to it. And wouldn't you know, there is a launch pad literally launching exactly to it. So I put it on a sequencer, and I wanted now I'm going to be honest with you, having so many assets in the park, it's going to be a little rough, but I'm going to especially with like FPS, but I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to see what it looks like. And there you have it. It's such a small detail that you wouldn't, unless the ride was, I don't know, themed around it, you really wouldn't notice it that much. But I am really glad that I decided to go ahead and go with that, at least for now. And if someone comes up with a better theme and name for this ride, of course things can be changed, but for now I'll just go with the wolf, just basically so that I could have kind of a theme to go off of, rather than do fencing around the exterior of the ride. I decided to kind of cap this little corner of Crimson Valley off with a rock work border, which is pretty nice. I really kind of like that, and I'm gonna put some bushes and stuff over there so that you can't necessarily see past the rocks through, like maybe to the ride or whatever. But I want to kind of cap it off so that you know that this is the end, and once you go through here, you are literally going to be walking into a totally different experience than what you have been. And the first thing that you experience is the go-karts and the back of buildings. So, I kind of want to cap this area off as nicely as possible so that once you come back into the less themed kind of janky part of Six Flags that they're kind of notorious for, you know, once you come through there, you'll be like, okay, well, I can see why they spent all of their money there. Because doing it all over the park would be, a hell of a lot of money. Most Six Flags parks that I know, they do one area really well, and then, the rest is just okay. Or the rest is, we'll theme the ride, but we won't theme the area around the ride. For Great America, I'd say it's the Southwest Territory. For Magic Mountain, I'd say it's the Scream Punk District. I'd say that the majority of the parks that have themed areas. Now, not all of them have it. Not all of them have themed areas. But they usually, if they don't want to go through that, they'll just make like a DC theme and put up like a bunch of high thrilling rides, and it just goes along with the DC theme, which a lot of parks do. But one thing that I'm kind of glad that we didn't have a DC theme area here. I wanted to originally. This little weird bluish area right here was going to be all DC themed, but I decided to go against it and do the thing that is normally done, or the thing that I have seen at Great America that not necessarily is done at other parks, is just go ahead and put the DC themed rides around and work around that, and not kind of make it a feature. I didn't want to make it a feature in this park. I feel like if we're honest, the Warner Brothers lease or the Warner Brothers IP that is all over Six Flags was kind of a nice while it lasted type of thing, but I don't believe that Six Flags is going to continue to do things like Looney Tunes themed areas and all of that. They are going to probably stick with the DC comics and the superhero aspect of it. They do that even till now. But I don't think that they're going to base a lot of the IPs in the future around Looney Tunes and around things that if they were to lose the license on, they would have to change the name of that ride. So for that reason only, I decided to kind of go easy on the DC themed rides. This actually Hero or Shuja actually was supposed to be Batman, a Dark Knight themed ride, but when thinking about it, I kind of followed that exact same thought, thinking, what if they were to lose the IP? Then you would have to re-theme it. So I just went with the generic name, Hero, or Shuja, which that is actually how it's pronounced in Swahili for hero. So, I went with that. Of course, I kept it with the Joker and Cyborg and let's see what else. Superman. I kept this one. This swing. This chair swing is just themed to the Swing and Fling. It was originally supposed to be villains. I was gonna call it villains, but I just decided I feel like that was too early in the park, and of course I could move it, but why? So of course you have the Looney Tunes stage, but other than that, not a lot of these rides are themed specifically to an existing character. I believe this was themed to Wonder Woman. If not Wonder Woman, The Flash. Let me see. Which one did I do? Wonder Woman's whip. Yep. So I kind of wanted to keep that theme of being able to stay flexible with what could come potentially. That might honestly be in the near future. I remember some people who in the coaster enthusiast community saying that they were probably going to see something like the loss of IP with Six Flags. in Warner Brothers, because it's been a long time, and eventually they'll realize, Six Flags will realize they don't need it. They don't necessarily need the costume characters to draw out audiences. Honestly, as many times as we go to a Six Flags park, it's very rare that you see costumed characters. We were actually at the opening of Great America this year, and we saw nothing. Of course, we understand that with COVID, that is kind of a scary thing, and you don't really want someone walking up to a character, especially if they are unvaccinated, saying, hey, let's take a picture. But even before that, it was not necessarily a prominent thing within the parks. So, of course, I understand if they decided that, hey, we don't need this. We don't need to be paying them all of this money for the IP, or however it works, and eventually they'll just build rides and theme them to something more creative. Now, I know that with that, you kind of lose a lot of names that you could have, but I don't think that that's going to be an issue. Of course, they would have a backlog of rides that they would have to retheme, which would be a very big headache, especially since they've relied so heavily on that IP for so long. So it's going to be kind of rough. I believe it's going to happen. I'm not necessarily on the inside track of Six Flags, so I don't know what the hell they're doing. But I honestly think that that's something that's going to happen, is that they are going to realize they don't need the IP to provided by Warner Brothers with Looney Tunes and with DC Comics and with anything else of that nature, and they will just kind of let that go, which is why a lot of these rides in this park are not themed to those assets. So with that long rambling aside, I am going to go ahead and cut out the episode here, because honestly I want to look around and take a break and look for some inspiration. Of course, I did actually open the park since our last update, and I have seen how the guests interact with this ride. They actually like it a lot, to the point where it would be backed up all the way to here. Now, that was just with this ride and Viper open, because Viper gets, if I just open Viper and one more ride, I would get an influx of people that enough to do this experiment. But with all of the rides open together, the line usually kind of backs up to right here, leaving all of this clear. And my goal is to at least get up to the Flash Pass break off. Now, if you bought a Flash Pass and you're still waiting in line to even get into the Flash Pass line, I'd be pissed if I were you. So that's my goal, is to make the queue long enough to be able to accommodate that. Or, at the very least, move the Flash Pass break off from here all the way to maybe like around here. But unfortunately, with everything the way that it is, that would kind of be like a tight squeeze. You would not be able to do that unless I just reshaped this curve a little bit, which I kind of don't want to do, but if I have to, I will. So we'll see what the future holds. But for right now, I'm going to give you guys another shot of the ride that I have built here. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, because we're more than likely all grown-ups here. I'm not sure how old most of the viewers that I have are. But I was drunk when I thought about making this ride. I honestly did not think that it would work. I know that Shadow Phoenix created a ride similar to this, but I don't remember how he did it, and I don't remember the name of the video in which he did it and explained it. So, you know, I just kind of was drunk, and I was like, hey, let me just try and see what it looks like. And at first, when I first built this, it was hideous. It was butt ugly, and it valleyed every run. But after working at it, and, you know, putting things together, it actually kind of came out to be a very nice ride, and I'm glad that I made it. I also reinforced the supports back here This kind of reminds me of West Coast Racers, how you have like a mess of steel supports just going in every direction. Like if you walk down that like little new area where that ride is, and you walk under where all of those supports are, like we did back in last January, it's literally a mess of just supports for the ride, and everything is going in every direction, and this thing is connected to this and this and this, and you kind of get a little dizzy just standing up under it and looking at it. I did not want that, but it does remind me of that with all of these steel beams that are, I guess, reinforcing each other. Hopefully, anyone who is an engineer would be able to confirm whether or not this would hold up. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I have no idea. But yeah, I got like a D in physics the first time I had to take it, and the second time I scraped by with a C. So, you know, if you guys are inclined in physics, maybe you could give me a heads up. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out here because I can feel the video getting pretty long and I'm starting to ramble. As always, I'd like to invite you, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to this channel for more Planet Coaster and amusement park content, where you can also go back to our backlog of videos and check out some of our vlogs and some of our top 10 lists and prediction videos. All of that is available within this channel, as well as other Planet Coaster series. A lot of them are just awful, but it was me kind of catching my balance and figuring out how I wanted to do things. And I hope that this will be my best to date park. I hope always to do better than the last time. So with that, once again, please consider subscribing. Please like the video and share with friends. My name is Tim from Coastal Life Media, and I will see you in the next video.